sounds like. And so on. So you hear there's these themes.
And the theme goes.
And you have in this Fantasia you have an ut re mi fa sol, ut re mi fa sola, which is giving the structure to this Fantasia. So you have it always somewhere, and around it is going on a lot of counterpoint or later diminution stuff with. And so on. So. In between is always this. So this is very, quite gebunden. Then you had a mix between what I already said. You had a block of counterpoint and then some free bits where you have runs or harmony moving around, and then you had a third kind of Fantasia which was completely free and could just be harmonies also. And the question is, for example, if I look at the prelude of Dans le Berre, these non-mesuré preludes in France, is that a Fantasia? Is it a prelude? Yeah, it could also be a Fantasia. I mean, it is also supposed to sound improvised, and it has the function Fantasia also can have. It's a bit you can exchange these things. Is this our preludium or Fantasia?
So can we say that Fantasia was the genre in which mixed many musical genres? For example, if I look at some Fantasias for Traverso, they have French Baroque dances. They have a bit of the flute.
That's the special thing exactly
of that, a bit of this, and it's not something which stays in one genre.
That's the special thing about Telemann's Fantasias. But at that time anyway, it got less and less important to have these counterpunct things. Also in the Gallen style of Telemann that time, counterpoint was not anymore the most important thing, of course. So that disappeared. Well, Telemann, if I look at these flute suites, Fantasias, it's funny there. Yeah, you have a movement, grave, and then comes a vivace. What is this? This is the second one. You have dances in between.
Yeah, look at the number 7. It's like French overture and then.
À la Française.
Yeah.
Exactly. This is a French overture with a kind of a fugue.
Yes.
Which you have to, of course, you
have to do it twice.
And Telemann, very creative man. Yeah, if I look at the Fantasias, he really uses it to let his to whatever he wants at that moment. Yeah, you can have you have a little recit kind of opening, and I recall a violin Fantasia I heard recently, and then comes a bourrée, and you also can have a chaconne kind of movement. The keyboard Fantasias are more, they are very much ABA structured, a bit like, they remind me a bit like Italian opera sinfonia, fast, slow, fast. Where the beginning, he just writes the capo and you repeat the fast thing in the beginning, and in the middle part you have some adagio, a very beautiful thing, or graves, or these kind of things. And if you look at Bach's Fantasias, there you have the chromatic Fantasia where you have lots of runs, you have imitations, you have recit moments in there, which is very interesting. Because that later, after Bach, you have that more often, that in the empfindsame Stil and all these clavichord composers and so on, they use you have stile recitativo in the middle of a Fantasia, and it's like talking, it's like declaiming text, and there's also certain freedom to that, of course, because a recit, when you perform a recit, you are supposed to ignore the bar. Martin says, das Zeitmaß hat Feierabend. What's closing hours, it goes home.
Yes, that's it.
So it's much more important that it sounds like you're really talking, and what we do when we talk, and if you see, is also, we have to realize that nowadays we're not talking like probably they talked then, and what they were thinking of declamations of something else than just normal talking and so on. But if you hear actors who are using this way or work with this kind of theater, you can hear how they accelerate to an emphasis, and then how they are just in the kind of waves of movement in the way how they speak. And these things you have to do as a player when you play these kind of recipes, and that has to be so you accelerate to an emphasis, then you let it go with these kind of things. So that's a freedom within this.
Yes, within the certain rules. It's a certain game with a certain rules that you have to follow.
And that with the dances, I mean, that is not just Telemann's. You said, oh, I'm gonna put a bourrée here in the Fantasia. I'm not sure how well he, for example, knew the music by Lord and Jenkins, these English.
Maybe when.
But Jenkins, for example, you can have a Fantasia, and then there come also already dance kind of elements, or courants, these kind of things. So, well, it's the time in the middle of this 17th century where the French style slowly gets more and more important. So also French forms become more important, and that's these dances.
Can we speak a bit about maybe this time of Telemann?